And welcome back to the Press Star Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka MrNeverChillin. This is episode number 42, and of course I'm joined by none other than my co-host Lunatic Oblivion.
Hey guys, how you doing today? Another wonderful Sunday here. We got to start our new co-op game, Tiny Tina's. What's your thoughts, Vic?
Man, it's like a breath of fresh air after playing Dying Light 2 for all these weeks we've been playing. It's been a very enjoyable game. The gameplay feels great. The gunplay feels great. The cooperative play is pretty good. We just had some hiccups here and there in regards to the getting set up and playing together. The tutorial was much quicker than Dying Light 2's tutorial, where we could play together. It took us about an hour or two for
Yeah,
Dying Light, where this one it took us about 30 minutes or so. I thought the character customizations was phenomenal. It's basically like D&D, but on a game, and then it was off. So it was pretty cool to see all the different options you could do. It looks phenomenal. The humor in the game is hilarious. Like it's just a really well done game.
no, I honestly agree. I think I was not expecting to be it as good as it is. I wasn't expecting the game to be anywhere as polished as it was. I'm a little disappointed with Epic, as I usually am.
Hmm.
Their interface is still lacking. Trying to get, Jordan into the game with us today, trying to get you into the game, having to restart the game multiple times. Like it became a nuisance at some point, but
Hmm.
like also having to go through a tutorial yet again before we can play co-op. Like that's something that you've never had to do with Borderlands, to my knowledge. Last time I remember playing a Borderlands game, you drop into the game
Together,
together.
right?
So it was kind of weird. I did like that you could build your own character because at this point you are building a character for Dungeons and Dragons, or in this case, bunkers and badasses. So I really enjoyed the game, albeit the few minor flaws that it has. I honestly think this game has potential to be up in the game for running for Game of the Year. I don't think it's going to win, but I think it definitely will be in the running for some awards at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games like last year with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, where it wasn't Game of the Year, but it's going to take a lot of awards throughout the year for
Hmm.
other aspects, whether it's storytelling, the multiplayer aspect, the soundtrack, or whatever it is. Like it's definitely going to win some awards. I'm excited for it.
No, I definitely agree. It's going to be up there. And so, other than Tiny Tina's, what have you been up to?
Fortnite, bro. Fortnite, it's back. It's breathing. It was a breath of fresh air to play Fortnite without building, and I can shoot somebody and they don't build a castle around me and then fuck me up.
They just die.
Yeah, they get lasered, they get fucked up, and I catch dubs. I've literally played it. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really been playing it too much. I played 3 games, caught one dub, and came in second both other times in solo. And I know back in the day when I was playing Fortnite all the time, and I would hop into solo, like getting in top five was hard, let alone let me finish second place or catching a dub. That was a
Mhm.
different story. But now it's just like
Well,
it's all about gunplay and outsmarting your opponent as opposed to building
yeah.
these ridiculous creations.
Like, because I've always had the same issue where, like, I didn't have the time or effort or energy to really build those structures. People are like, bam, 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 bam. People have it like you get hit once and it's like muscle memory takes over, and they use some kind of Tekken combos and they build a fort the size of a goddamn skyscraper. I could not stand Fortnite, and to hear that they've removed gaming or removed building, it's a whole different game. Honestly, the memes feel so true when you look on Reddit right now. People are like, "Oh, death is coming for you, you little kids.
Right.
People who can aim are here to end the day."
Right, and I'm excited to actually see how Fortnite evolves this season because like
Mhm.
by the end of the season, building's going to be back because it's all built into the story. Like
Yeah.
the new forces came in, they like basically EMP'd the system that provides the building to you. Like that's offline, and you just have to work your way through the story and actually get it back. So I'm eager to see. But when it is back, I wonder if they're going to have like two separate modes, like permanent modes, where like you
Well,
got building and
it
then
just
non-building.
and it honestly is all going to fall upon whether or not the non-building mode gets enough following.
Oh, it already
People are
is.
going to have, yeah,
it brought a
that's
lot
what
of
I've
the
seen.
it brought a lot of the big time streamers back to Fortnite just so they
Hmm.
can enjoy it. They said this is the most fun they've had in Fortnite in many years, and it's just like it breathed like fresh air into the game, and it's just like this is what Fortnite needed because Fortnite was getting stale, and it's just like no one wanted to play Fortnite because if you weren't a sweat, you weren't going to be able to enjoy that game.
Yeah, you had to be able to build a fucking skyscraper from memory.
Yeah, so I'm really excited, and I hope they do keep it because if they do, I'll be around for Fortnite to pop in every once in a while, like a couple games a week.
Yeah, no, I would play Fortnite if it stayed out of if the building was removed from the game more permanently.
Right. Well, what about you, man? What else have you been playing this week?
So I put a lot more hours into Elden Ring. I'm bordering on 80 or 90 hours of gameplay now. That has been such a good game. And to think that I was almost at the end of the game and then I was like, wait, I've only uncovered half of the map. So the first I'd say like half of the game is literally just do whatever you want across the entirety of the world, collect as many bosses that you want to kill, but as soon as you've found two and killed two bosses, you can move on to the end of the game.
Okay.
And it's honestly, it's just been so much fun. I feel as though the game is a lot easier than other Dark Souls games. There's a lot less mystique and mystery around some of the stuff. But if you really are looking for those secretive side quests, it's there and it's awesome. So I think Elden Ring has been a great game this season, and I think it's definitely in running for Game of the Year,
Yeah.
not just like a side award. Game of the Year, I think. I'd at least be in the running for top five, I think.
Yeah,
Other
I haven't played it yet, but it's looking to me that it's probably going to be a landslide at most game awards. That it's going to win Game of the Year, like without any
Yeah.
competition.
Honestly, as long as we continue to see the same quality of games we've seen last year, unless an indie developer drops some heart-wrenching, soul-sucking great game where you just it's just such a good game. If we get another game like It Takes Two, honestly, I think it's gonna challenge it, but it's gonna have a lot to work up to because at this point, this is a AAA game that didn't flop,
Right. And
and
also
the developers
just
cared.
right, exactly. And that's another thing. Like they support the game. Like they're constantly throwing out hot fixes or update or patches, just making sure it's in good condition. But one thing I wanted to mention, I did see the one hidden area that you had to hit a wall 50 times to unlock. I was like, who the fuck is hitting every wall in the game 50 times to figure out if there's a hidden area? Like that's craziness. Like those people are putting like thousands of hours into this one game.
Mhm. Yeah, people are pretty sweaty when it comes to From Software games because From Software doesn't pull punches really. They're pretty silly about their game mechanics. And sometimes people look at the code and they figure out where these things are.
Hmm.
And sometimes they legitimately are like, I'm just gonna sit here and do stupid shit for hours.
I couldn't do it. That's not me. But
No, me either.
but I mean, it's pretty cool though to see the community come together and just find weird and crazy Easter eggs. I mean, look at The Witcher. The Witcher 3 just had a new Easter egg found the other day, and it took them like 7 or 8 years to find it. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That game, there's Easter eggs in games that people probably still have yet to find.
Mhm. And sometimes it comes to a developer who has to just say the right thing at the right time for somebody to find it.
Right.
And no, honestly, I think Elden Ring has been a great game, but I want to talk about another game that I've started playing this week that I think honestly is going to be not game of the year, but it's going to win some awards as well. The new Kirby Forgotten Lands,
Hmm.
that released on Friday, as we know, as well as Tiny Tina's, and
Ghostwire
it
Tokyo.
honestly and Ghostwire Tokyo. Let's also not mention that, like, forget to mention that Ghostwire Tokyo failed to knock Elden Ring off of number one of Steam's most played
Hmm.
for this week.
Yeah.
On launch week, it still couldn't topple Elden Ring's number one spot. So it's pretty exciting, and like I plan to get to Ghostwire Tokyo, but first and foremost, I did get to play to Kirby Forgotten Lands, and I got to play that two-player. The game is actually a two-player game,
Hmm.
like many other Kirby games lately have been. And honestly, I think it's a great game for what it is, for what we wanted out of a Kirby game. It feels very similar to Mario Odyssey in the way it plays.
Hmm.
It's a 3D Kirby game that is a straight path adventure, and honestly, I think it did great. It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to pick that game up though. But talking about Ghostwire numbers, I kind of understand like it wouldn't topple the numbers of Elden Ring because Elden Ring is on multi-platform unless you're talking about Steam
Yeah.
specific.
Well,
Um,
no, Steam specifically.
well, I don't think because yeah, it came out for PC. That's right, PC and PlayStation because it's not out on Xbox obviously. So yet,
Correct.
yet a year later it'll be on Game Pass for free. But
But just talking about Steam numbers alone.
yeah, but can we really go off of Steam numbers? Look at Dying Light 2 at this point.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I very much agree. But then again, Dying Light 2 isn't coming anywhere near it as well right now. Dying Light 2 was one of the tops, but it
Hmm.
was just because it was new. It's
Yeah,
what people had been waiting for. Like, honestly, it's currently CSGO, Elden Ring, Dota 2, Lost Ark. Ghostwire Tokyo is not even in the top 10.
yeah, that's fair though. But let's move on though to new games this week. Or kind of new games this week. Some of them are already out, just coming out to new platforms. We got Crusader Kings 3 coming to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S on the 29th. World Rally Car Racing 10 coming out to the Switch on March 29th as well. Aerial Knights Never Yield is coming to mobile, so iOS and Android on the 30th. That game is already out, and I think it's the free game right now for Xbox. Death Stranding Director's Cut is coming to the PC, so again, another PlayStation exclusive coming to the PC market on the 30th. Moss Book 2, it's a PlayStation VR game coming on March 31st. And we got Weird West coming to basically all platforms except for the Switch right now on the 31st. And that's probably the game that I'm really looking forward to. But what about you, Roger?
Honestly, I think Weird West is the one that interests me the most. The rest feel like they're just small, crappy,
Hmm.
they don't feel like they're adding anything to the genre. Like Moss is a VR game that isn't first person. Anytime you have a VR game where you're not the character looking through their eyes, I think you're missing out on what VR really is supposed to be.
Right.
So I'm kind of a little upset about that we're still getting these kind of games where we want to use this, we're like touting this new hardware, this something great, and then we just don't use it. I think other than that, the fact that Crusader Kings is just coming to the consoles, I honestly don't think that's great. And then Aerial Knights Never Yield felt like a mobile game to begin with. So for it not to be on mobile, like Temple Runner or something to that nature,
Right.
felt weird to me. Weird West is the only game that honestly interests me. It feels like a good nod to your top-down sort of Diablo style, but mixed with Baldur's Gate gameplay kind of game. So I'm
Right.
excited to see that. It looks really good. But I feel as though it's probably going to play best on the PC with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I'll probably check it out on the Xbox. I think that'll be how I play it.
Mhm.
But moving on now, we got the industry news. We actually got some good news in like the TV and movie industry this week. We got Tekken Bloodline was announced. It's an animated series coming to Netflix this year. Um, the Tekken franchise has been around for forever, and it seems like pretty cool. I actually just watched the trailer before the show, and I was just like, I'm not really into anime, but this looks pretty good, pretty dope. What was your thoughts
Yeah.
on this?
Honestly, I'm not into Tekken as just like you,
Hmm.
but it seemed interesting. I don't like the art style that they've used to render it, so that's my biggest concern is the sort of it it feels delayed is the word I want to use.
Hmm.
Slow paced art style.
Okay.
So that I think is a deterrent for me. It doesn't feel as good. But talking about something that I think might be a little bit better here, A Plague Tale is actually getting its TV series. The release date was leaked for A Plague Tale Requiem.
Hmm.
That's supposed to come out on June 17th via the Xbox Store. So are you excited for this? Have you gotten to play Plague Tale yet?
No, and interesting enough, I actually literally just downloaded A Plague Tale Innocence the other day. It's on Game Pass, so I just wanted to download it
Mhm.
because I know A Plague Tale Requiem is coming out later this year, and we just got a leaked release date. So yeah, that's in 3 months, well, 2 months, because basically March is over. So I got to get through Innocence, which isn't too long of a game. So I want to play through
Mhm.
that, and then when Requiem comes out in June on June 17th. I'll be able to transition right into that. But that's awesome to hear a TV show come out because I think this is a really interesting story that you can tell, set during
Yeah.
like what was it, the 14th century, during like the plague,
Well, the Black Plague.
the
Yeah,
Black Plague,
exactly.
and you're following like a mother and a daughter, and they have to fight for survival.
Well, no, no, no. It's not a mother and daughter. It's the two children because the
Oh, the
mother
children. That's
dies
right.
to
That's right.
save.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's the big sister and her little brother, and the two of them are trying to survive together, and she's trying to save his life, and she's struggling through to kind of come to reality that she has to be the hero.
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm definitely eager to check it out because it's another story-driven game, and to see a TV series announced for it, I wasn't expecting to see a Plague Tale get a TV series because it's a smaller game. It was a huge hit back in 2019, so for them to see a TV series 3 years later, that's awesome for that company.
No, I agree. So talking about a bigger company here, Xbox actually just filed for a new trademark. The industry is abuzz with what this could be. They've mentioned that it may be related to esports, especially for the fact that the URL is start.gg. GG typically being one of those stat track style websites like
Hmm.
OPGG and things of that nature where you can track your League of Legends, your Valorant, your different profiles for different games. Now for Xbox to potentially or Microsoft be getting into the market, what do you think, Vic? What do you think it could be?
Actually, I'm gonna take a different point of view. I think it's gonna be similar to the app that I actually sent you a screenshot the other day, or like the website How Long to Beat, where it can keep track of your entire library. You can put stuff in your backlog, you can put stuff that you're currently playing, you can put stuff that you beat, and then you can track reviews and leave ratings on the game, and all that stuff. But then it will also keep track of your multiplayer stats, whether it's Call of Duty, Valorant, Fortnite, PUBG, like whatever game you're playing, it's going to be able to track all of those stats just like those other GG tracker.gg does. So I think this is going to be a mix of everything, but I also see where they can do an esports thing where like because this is like your universal profile now, and now if you want to join tournaments it'll have like a section to join like legitimate tournaments like Z League does. Z League offers all those like in-game tournaments that you can play and compete for money. So I think that they can do a combination here with this.
Or I think honestly, it might also be looking at Microsoft Games trying to build their competitive marketplace
Hmm.
because the thing
Hey,
we've got to
appreciate
talk
the
about.
new follow, Yuri.
Hey, so I think the thing to keep in mind here, though, is Xbox just bought Activision. So they just bought Overwatch. Overwatch 2 is on the bend. We've got a new Warcraft game coming around the corner too,
Hmm.
which we're going to hear more about in a month or two. We've also got, Halo. So Microsoft is building its competitive marketplace, and maybe they need a place to build out their competitive teams to actually get in on maybe low elo play and things like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, PlayStation bought the company. I think it's called Evo, last year or 2 years ago, and
Yeah,
that's like their esports platform.
the
Now,
fighting game
yeah,
platform.
and I'm thinking like this could be competition in that way. Yeah, yeah. Overwatch Two Beta does drop on the 26th.
And
That's
make sure
definitely
you
exciting.
sign up
Yeah, you got to
because
sign up
it's
for it.
open for early access.
Yep, it's a private beta that you have to request access to. So hopefully everyone can go crazy. Because I remember just playing, buying actually Overwatch One a couple months ago with JD and the rest of the guys from Shoot to Win, and that was the first time I played, and I was like, "Yo, this game's nuts! Like this is
No,
crazy."
I
And it's a lot of
it
fun.
it
It's just a
was
lot to get into though.
yeah, and it a lot of sweats now lately. So I think the community will rebuild itself with Overwatch 2.
Hey,
Hey, Smokezilla.
what's up, bro? Appreciate you coming through as well. But yeah,
So
it's definitely exciting though to see what Microsoft is trying to expand in different markets and just grow. And what they're doing is phenomenal for the business and just trying to
Mhm.
put everything together. So I'm eager to see what this turns out to be. But this is also transitioning into success. Look at the stats. They just released the stats over the last 16 months of the PS5 versus the Xbox Series S and X consoles. PS5 has sold 6.77 million units in the United States versus Xbox Series consoles at 6.22 million. So it's only off by like 500,000 consoles, and that's the closest that the consoles have been probably since the early 360 days, versus the PS3. What's your take on all this?
Honestly, it just goes to show that Microsoft isn't giving up when it comes to their console game. Yeah, they're expanding and making it so that you can play a lot of your stuff on PC. But I think if you're going to play a console game at this point, Microsoft offers a lot of options to do so much.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I'd rather play on a PS5 if I'm looking for exclusives because I have a PC. But that doesn't mean that everyone can afford a PC. So if you can't, and you have to get a console, why not get something where you can pay $10, $15 a month to play any game in their catalog for the most part?
Right.
It's honestly a deal.
Right, you can grab a Series S for $300, grab Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for 15, and boom, $315. You got a console with like hundreds of games. And going on, I want to talk about what Yuri just said in the comment here. Based on, I definitely agree. Microsoft is becoming more superior, like community-based stuff. And I know
Yeah.
Sony is known for their single-player games, but Xbox is nothing to sleep on now too. With all these new acquisitions in their studios, with all these games lined up with Starfield and obviously once they finalize the deal with Microsoft, all those story mode games that come with that, like there's a lot going on with
Yeah.
Bethesda and all their studios before that with like Oblivion.
But we're still waiting though. That's the thing. We're still waiting to see what we get.
Right.
So a lot of what we still have is mostly community-based gaming,
Hmm.
like last year's winners. Halo. The first person story mode came late. Forza Horizon. That the story mode was overshadowed by the fact that it's meant to be played with friends, to be played against
Hmm.
people. You know, yeah, you can play it solo, but like it's still at the end of the day a competitive racing game.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely that's a great point. That most of the games recently have been more community based, but there's a lot of games that work. We got Zero Dark coming out. We got Hellblade 2 coming out. We got Avowed coming out. We got Outer Worlds 2 coming out. Starfield. Like there's a
They're not
lot.
out.
I know there's a lot of
Yeah.
games coming out. They did have one
So
recently with Psychonauts. Psychonauts 2 was
there you go.
was a great game that was released. So I'm super excited for the future of Xbox. They're going to be on par
I
with
agree.
PlayStation here soon, I think.
I agree. And until we get those single player games, we're still kind of waiting to see where Microsoft goes.
Right.
And it's cheaper too. That's the other thing.
Right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's just all the way around. I think Xbox right now is just the perfect console to get if you want to get into gaming. It's the perfect console to go with because it's
And
cheaper
not to
and it has
mention,
the services. Right.
you can also play cloud gaming on it too.
Right. If so,
And talking about cloud gaming, Nvidia also just came out with their new GPU, the Nvidia Hopper, which is for that cloud-based gaming. It's for server room architecture that does AI and big thinking. And Nvidia just launched this card that honestly may revolutionize the cloud-based services.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems like interesting. When this came across my my news feed, I was like, oh. So this was interesting to see. Like Nvidia is trying to expand as well. Like they're trying to get out of just their typical graphics card. Like I actually just seen the meme the other day. They were like the 40 series card. You have to plug in its own separate power supply to the back of it because it's that powerful. And I was just like, man, I hope not. But it's pretty cool
Yeah.
to see with this new Hopper GPU architecture that was announced because they're just trying to get into the cloud gaming and take that to the next level because we know the importance behind that. With obviously Amazon is trying to do it, Google was doing it there, Xbox is into it big right now, and then PlayStation will probably be soon to follow.
Yeah. Well, why give people this, huge hardware when we can just build it ourselves, manage it ourselves, and it becomes less of a user support and more of a cloud support. So
Right.
it honestly becomes easier as well for admins to maintain.
And I just realized
So
the benefit of cloud gaming even on my console. Right, I was playing on my Series X, and I was just browsing through Game Pass, and I just happened to scroll through a couple games, like smaller games, obviously, and I was just like, ooh, I don't know about installing this game, but it has that new feature that I can stream it without downloading it on the cloud on my console, and I was rating the game in seconds in the game, and I was like, this is
like
crazy.
Netflix.
Right, and there was like no latency, like there was nothing, and I didn't have to download anything, no updates, nothing. It just worked, and I was just like,
Yeah.
this is the future.
Yeah, and it allows you to test the water before you jump in, and I think that's the value of it. As you said, it's honestly it's the Netflix of gaming. It takes that Netflix model and puts it in your hand and say go.
Right. So it's only up from here for Xbox. But let's move on here to our big chunk of the episode, our gaming news. We got first off Nintendo release an update which is going to allow you to on your Switch group your games up into like different categories and stuff like that. Xbox has this, and I assume PlayStation has it. PC obviously Ben had that. But do you think this will be helpful on the Switch for those who buy games
I think
digitally?
so. Yeah, that's the big thing. For a lot of people, if you're gonna go through the games you have installed and you've played like 30 cartridges since you last played this game, you have to sit there and scroll through the main menu for 30 games to get to your downloaded game. Well, now you can put those games on your screen wherever you want, and it cuts down the navigation time. It's not really what we need, but it's such a nice convenience to have.
Yeah, it's definitely a quality of life feature that they're adding, and it's always nice for Nintendo to release different like little features like this to the Switch and
Mhm.
to continue to support it the way that they do. But let's move on to some more Xbox news. They just announced that you can win this special limited edition Xbox Series S that is a Sonic 2 themed. So like the console's like black with like the Sonic and Knuckles on
Shadow.
it, or is it
Oh.
Shadow? I think it's Knuckles. Knuckles on.
Knuckles is red, yes, but I thought Shadow was also involved in this.
Probably. Maybe that's why the console's like blackish gray.
Yeah.
But the funniest part was the controllers because they're one's red and one's blue, and they're like fluffy, like they're furry, like and they're interesting. And I was just like, I don't know how well that would do with gaming. Like you think about the sweaty hands and the snack
I was
crumbs
gonna
all
say,
over your hands. Like
think about the sweats.
you're just gonna mess those controllers up instantly. Like how do you clean those? So it's like I don't know if I won that, don't think I would play with it. Those controllers at least.
Honestly, it's the shag carpeting of controller. Like, I don't. Doesn't sound.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
for
could
display.
display a controller.
Exactly.
Just get a little glass thing, put it on the wall, like here. But another thing that they announced was the Xbox Spring Collection of 2022. So they collaborated with Power A, OtterBox, and 8-Bit Dio. Um, they just got like these light pastel colors. Obviously, perfect time for spring. I think most of the controllers are all wired, so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool for both PC and Xbox gaming. And so anybody that's looking to add to the collection with those brands and those color pastels, definitely check those out. Those come out soon. But another thing that actually excited me, and then probably maybe even you here, Game Pass Ultimate now includes 3 months of Marvel Unlimited. So basically, that's their subscription online service if you want to read digital comics from Marvel. So I thought that's pretty cool because I know me and you are both in the comics, so that just gives me easy access if I can't get out to buy a new one or whatever. I can check it out
Yeah.
because I love Star Wars. Star Wars is produced by Marvel, so I can just
Yeah.
read them on there.
I think it's a way to get into the comic market if you're not a collector like myself, and it's a great
Mhm.
way to read your comics if you want to stay up to date while still collecting on the side.
Mhm.
But it is only 3 months. It's one of those things. I feel like Game Pass lately is becoming that nagging like that nagging, you know, email that's like, oh, try our special advertiser here. It's Xbox's way of advertising without advertising for other people.
Right, and it's just another way of bringing more people into Game Pass. People who don't have Game Pass and they love Marvel stuff, they're like, "Ooh, I get 3 months free of this. Like, all I gotta do is sign up for this Game Pass thing, and then you're hooked. You're hooked."
Yeah.
And
Well, then you have two new subscriptions instead
right,
of one.
and it's the other way around too. Like if you already have Game Pass and you never had Marvel, and now I got 3 months, and then damn, I'm hooked now. Now I gotta
Yeah,
subscribe to that too. So it
exactly.
sounds like a win-win all around, both for companies and for the consumer, honestly. But talking about Game Pass, though, it's been dominating the game subscription services. It's apparently taken up about 60% of the market, versus other platforms like Apple Arcade only takes up 9%, Google Play takes up 7, along with PlayStation Play and EA Play both also taking up 7%, and then Ubisoft Plus at the bottom with 4%, and then the remaining 6% is spread across a bunch of other smaller ones. But to me, this is just like showing the success and how big Game Pass is in regards to subscription, like the number wise.
Well, I feel like the future of the digital marketplace or like anything really is subscriptions. Everyone wants that dedicated revenue, and I think Xbox being the first one into it and also the best one at it has gone to show how well it can do if you do it right. Like you don't see Netflix on this list. Netflix isn't even a thing. It's not even like a thought for their gaming. But whereas Xbox, that's 60% of the market. Project Spartacus that comes out soon, they have a high wall to climb. They honestly, they're gonna have to come out with something big. It's gonna
Right.
have to be, you know, defining. It's gonna have to build the whole year. And it's
Right.
gonna have to come out right away because they shouldn't just tease it and then be like, in 2 years you'll have Project Spartacus.
That would be wild if they do some terrible PR move
Yeah,
like that. But at this point, it wouldn't surprise me the way that they've been moving. But
honestly, I agree.
one last update on Xbox before we move on to PlayStation here is Forza Horizon 5 has a big update. I think it's actually already out. It added 9 new cars, added a drift story, new event lab props. So anybody who likes to create those maps and fun game modes, you can do that. You can do custom online racing now, along with new online leaderboards and player badges. So that's pretty cool that they're adding those. And then I guess there was like dirty air problems. I don't know what that exactly refers to, but they fixed it of some sorts. But it's pretty cool to see Forza Horizon is to continue to get that support that all the previous entries got as well. So I mean,
And it's free.
right, it's free. It's always going to be free, and I even hop into Forza Horizon every once in a while here. Like I actually never even talking about it in the beginning of our segments, but I'll hop in for like a race or two. And hop out.
Hmm.
I'm at that point now where I don't have to play that every day, all day long for hours at a time.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think Forza has done a really good job of this. It's been one of the games where they came out, hit strong, and they're like, now we're just here for you. Just a casual game, and it's a cornerstone of Game Pass.
Yes.
That is the key. So like to continue our previous conversation, Game Pass succeeds because of games like this. And Spartacus, talking about Spartacus, we should hear about this here this week, shouldn't we? Spartacus, we should be hearing news this week about that.
Yeah, that's the rumor going around, and there was like an image that was leaked to showing the pricing breakdown, which actually got debunked as being fake because the pricing
Hmm.
at one part didn't match up at the bottom part, and it clearly was like, yeah, this is not real. But
Yeah,
the rumor is that they are going to be releasing this, or at least announcing it this week. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully that comes out, and we'll be able to cover it next week on that episode. But sticking
yeah.
along the PlayStation, they did acquire a new studio called Haven Studios. It is actually a brand new studio that was just created, so they don't have any games or anything like that. But their first game is supposed to be like a new IP that is a AAA multiplayer experience. Have no idea. There's no details in regards to this, but hey, I guess this is PlayStation's turn to get into the multiplayer experience away from that solo game focus. So maybe
Well,
we'll see how that
everything
goes.
lately has been other people publishing games on their console. Like the multiplayer experience, there are very few games that were like PlayStation exclusives where the multiplayer was good. Like Uncharted was like the only one I can think of.
Right. And that didn't really succeed that well at all. And even like
Well, it was big at the time.
the only other one that I can think of, which is not PlayStation exclusive anymore, was No Man's Sky. But that multiplayer cooperative experience wasn't that great anyway at that time.
Took forever to get there too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it didn't really work out. So hopefully this does. So I mean, hopefully once I grab a PS5, I'll be able to check out this new game. But PlayStation Network, it was down last week again.
Spartacus is looking good already.
It's just like, how does PlayStation Network go down so often all
Well,
the
and it's
time?
not just PlayStation Network was down, their whole licensing structure was down. So you pay for your online membership, that thing to verify you had paid for your membership went down. So you can't access it because your membership wasn't valid.
Right. So it's just
Yeah.
like PlayStation servers and their support part of it is just that's been always been the turn off for me for PlayStation. I'm like, why would I want to pay for a subscription or have that platform where there might be time
If I can't
if I
access
can't
it.
play it. I remember a while ago when they had on the PS4 time where that shit was down for like a few months. You couldn't play online at all on a PlayStation game. And like, granted, good thing like PlayStation games are mainly solo game focused, so you didn't have to worry about it as much. But what if you bought those games online? You're
Yeah.
fucked.
Now
You
you
couldn't
can't
play them
download them.
or play them because you need online access to it. So no, no, thank you. I'd rather stick to Xbox and PC gaming.
And honestly, everyone seems to be starting to jump ship, and PlayStation's like, well, we better get on PC now. And talking about something that jumped ship and went to PC, Godfall. Godfall was a PlayStation exclusive, and it's now coming to Xbox and PC because, let's be honest, the PlayStation's not succeeding.
Right, and this actually was mind blowing because I thought this was like a legitimate PlayStation exclusive. This was never in the talks about being a timed exclusive where it could come out later for Xbox or PC, and then boom, news drop. Hey guys, we're coming out with a special edition. It's coming to Xbox. This and that. Big update. A lot of new content, all going to be included for free. And I was just like, okay. I
What?
mean, maybe I'll give it a try. Like this game hasn't really been successful per se, but obviously it's successful enough for them to want to bring it to another platform.
Well, or it didn't succeed enough and they need to broaden their marketplace because they put so much effort into it. They may still need to recoup losses, so they're going to take a bigger L to hopefully succeed on a new market.
Right. So hopefully that works out for them. But some good news though this week was The Witcher. They announced,
Major.
yeah, they announced a new game is in development. They didn't really call it The Witcher 4. They said that this is a new saga, so it could just be The Witcher. So we'll see how that pans out. They are using Unreal Engine 5, which I'm super excited for. That engine is phenomenal from what we see
It
already.
looks beautiful.
They're not completely ditching the Red Engine because they're still using it for Cyberpunk 2077, and they are still working on the future expansions for that game. So they're still going to be managing. Hey, we got two teams, Cyberpunk and Witcher, which is good because most games, a lot of bigger platforms have two different games now that they're going back and forth, like GTA and Red Dead, and then they have these two. So like in Call of Duty, it has three that they were balancing back and forth between. So this is pretty cool though, and that was big news to see come through. But other big news that we mentioned actually a little bit ago was Overwatch 2. They did showcased how the ping system and tagging enemies are going to work within the game. Did this pique your interest at all, or like were you excited to see this feature showcased?
Feels like something we needed because like now I believe you can ping an enemy and it will highlight them, which is huge because you used to be like there's an enemy and you'd ping and they can't see it, but now if you're like there's an enemy, ping, you can see them until they disappear out of sight, I believe. So the ping system being reworked I think is very crucial because if you're playing a competitive game, you want to be able to ping. Like Valorant only has 4 pings.
Right,
It's help me, I'm going here, wait, or I'm watching this.
right,
So I think this is something we've needed for a while now in some games where we get a little more option and it's on a spin dial so you get like 12 15 options
hmm
for what you're going to do. So the ping system may be too big or too little depending on the game, but I think maybe this might get us towards something better.
right. And we don't see we don't realize the importance or the impact that the ping system is that was introduced back in the I don't even was it Apex that first introduced it? I think it was. And like every game has been trying to adapt it one way or another. And
Well, and not only that, pings have been around in gaming since, Warcraft. Warcraft really was the big one for me. StarCraft, you could
mhm,
ping in those games, and it was always important because in those games, you didn't have voice chat.
right.
And I think voice chat came around, pings disappeared because you didn't need to tell people. You could explain it. But then anyone who's anyone knows when you try to explain, hey, the guy's over there behind that box around that corner. Which box? That box, the red one, the
Yeah,
yellow one.
he's over there
Trying to
somewhere.
explain something where I can just go, there, ping, ping, ping.
Right. It's really important. I mean, heck, even look at today when we were playing Tiny Tina's, it had a ping system in it, and how useful it was that we were trying to, hey, Jordan, come here, come to our ping, or hey, Victor, it's up here, or like whatever. We were pinging left and
Yeah.
right, so it was useful. Even in that sense, like it's not like, hey, there's an enemy over there kind of ping. It's, hey, I need you to come here or go here, like give directions and stuff like
It
that.
just it allowed you to point something out without somebody sitting there going, I'm lost, and just spinning in a
I'm
circle.
lost.
So, but let's talk about something that has been a total flop. Battlefield. Battlefield's already stated that their next entry in the series is already in pre-production. Like they're already washing their hands of Battlefield 2042. This
I'm
is insane.
yeah.
I I'm so disappointed in the company right now because at this point they're just like we give up. We're moving on. Something else. We don't this game has failed, so we're done.
But like, when is enough enough? Because like, Battlefield One was a flop, Battlefield Five was a flop, Battlefield 2042 a flop. Like, how many flops do you need to realize, hey guys, we fucked up? Like, we really need to go back to the drawing board.
Why don't we go back to where the game succeeded? Bad Company, Battlefield
Three,
4,
three.
we go back to those games like Xbox 360, 2012. I remember playing Battlefield. That shit was so good.
Mhm.
Like its only competitor, like honestly, Call of Duty had nothing on it in my opinion if you wanted to play a cool, actual military shooter game. Call of Duty was just an arena shooter, but
Hmm.
now Battlefield 2042, it feels like it's trying to be the cinematic game, and it's like, well, it would be cool if like a one of those airboats, if it's not flying, why is it flying? Like when the realism is destroyed,
Yeah.
then the game is ruined, in my opinion. Like it was
Right.
meant to be that realistic shooter. It had bullet drop. It had these important features that made it feel real. Like building destruction was a thing. And
Yeah.
then they're like, who needs building destruction anymore? Why do we need to be able to destroy this building? Let's move on.
Right. So I mean, I'm disappointed that they were like, yeah, we're done with that. Hopefully, Portal does really well for everybody else, but we're done supporting this
Have
game.
fun. Yep, we're done.
And but I mean, hopefully this game doesn't come out for like at least 3 years before we see another Battlefield game. And
Oh yeah.
honestly, what I was reading on Twitter, what they really need to do, I forget whose idea this was, is just give us remastered Battlefield 3, just to hold the audience over, because that would keep people hooked. Release
Yeah.
the most successful Battlefield game with a updated technology with 4K 60 FPS, and just have fun with it.
Or just fix Battlefield 2042 so that it was Battlefield 3. Take those lessons learned and build Battlefield 2042 2.0. Honestly, it's already there. You don't have that much work, but they're like, we want to remake the whole game. And it's like, why?
Head scratchers. Let's move on though to their competitor, which is still doing successful, whether you want to look at it or not.
Oh yeah.
They released Season 2 Reloaded. It comes out with new modes, new maps, new vehicles, operators, weapons, and bundles, of course, the typical stuff. But they did some new updates to Rebirth Island, which has caused the community to be like split in a way.
Why?
They added the redeploy balloons, which are very similar to from Apex Legends, where you climb the rope and then redeploy out. And then they added weapon trade stations, so you just like go in there, trade a weapon you have, and you get a different one out. Or I haven't really seen exactly how it works, but they added new areas. They restructured some of the areas of the map, and I know a couple of the guys from Shoot to Win. They're like, well, I guess back to Caldera, because they switched from Caldera to Rebirth Island because Rebirth was doing so well. Now they come in with this update. They fucked up Rebirth Island. They went back to Caldera, and it's a mess, man. I'm hopefully Warzone 2 when it comes out fixes everything and just puts everything back to normal.
Well, I think the issue is the creative direction is the problem and
Hmm.
not the design of the game. That's the issue lately. Creative direction has disappeared. The passion for video gaming and designing a good video game has been replaced with the idea that all I have to do is sell you garbage and you'll buy it.
Hmm.
So I think at this point, the people who have passions for these games are gone and they've moved on to new projects. And we can see that because not all of video games bad. And I think Call of Duty is one of those examples where things have gone wrong. And maybe Microsoft's acquisition will help fix it,
Hmm.
but as we stand, I think Call of Duty is still not very successful. Honestly, I could see Fortnite making a resurgence and beating it into a pulp even more now that they've removed buildings. They've done things that work and then they're like, we're only gonna do it for a week or two, whereas Call of Duty's like, this is till we do something new. This is weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like Call of Duty's just like, hey, quick thing, let's they're like, their events are like that done in a day or two, whereas like the creative changes stick around for weeks, months,
Right.
year.
Yeah, they definitely need some new leadership up in there to kind of just get the whole project back on track and more organized and stuff like that. I think that there seems like there's just a miscommunication, like no one's connected anymore in that franchise because it's all about making money. That's all it is. I mean, you can't knock anybody for making money, but like when you throw like you're just putting out garbage.
Well, you have such a lost revenue if you just put out garbage. I'd be playing it. And you'd be playing it if they didn't fuck up the game.
Right.
Like if hacking wasn't an issue, we'd still be playing Warzone once a week, I bet.
Right. For sure.
So how many people aren't playing their game because of a creative flop?
Right. Well, they got two right here on the podcast that wish Call of Duty Warzone was still fun. But moving
So
on to our next topic here, Far Cry 6. Everybody knows I played it. It's my first Far Cry game actually played, and I beat it. I enjoyed it. Solid game. But they have a crossover coming with Stranger Things, which is interesting to say the least. There's a free to play weekend. It actually ends today. Today's the last day to enjoy Far Cry 6 for free. But they're bringing a new stealth horror survival field to Far Cry with a certain mission where you have to go and rescue Charizo, which is like one of your little like companion dogs. Um, I didn't really watch any videos or gameplay in regards to this, but it's pretty cool to see a Far Cry game be matched up with Stranger Things. I wouldn't have saw it coming, but hey,
Yeah, it seems like a weird crossover, but Ubisoft will do what Ubisoft does.
hopefully it's good content though for sure. But moving on to another head scratcher this week, GTA. GTA introduces GTA Plus, a subscription service for GTA Online that blew my mind. It'll be available on the 29th here for only the Series S and X version and the PS5. So only next gen only. Forget about all the other players that have been playing your game on 360 to PS3 to PS4 to Xbox One. Nope, those players don't matter. PC players, I don't even think it's coming to PC either. So that blew my mind that you only targeted.
This is so dumb. Like this is the problem with Rockstar. This is the problem when creative direction is murdered by profits. So, like, literally, what you get is 500,000 GTA dollars a month. You get the ability to buy properties across Los Santos, special vehicle upgrades, and member-only discounts. Like this is so dumb. This is literally just it should have been called GTA Pay to Win. GTA P2A. Let's call a duck and a fucking yeah. Why? Why
Yeah.
are we doing this? But then it goes to show all you need is a subscription. Subscriptions are everything. It's 2022. If you don't have a subscription, what kind of game are you running?
Right. Like they already had a live service model, but now they wanted to add another paywall behind this kind of stuff. Where like
Yeah.
if I hopped into GTA now, I wouldn't have GTA Plus, but I'd be so far behind the person who does. So it's just like no one's ever going to be on
Well,
the same
and not
playing
only
level.
that, the people with GTA Plus are also the people who've been playing for months and months and months. So now you're behind them and you're like, well, now I have to buy GTA Plus if I want to be able to keep up. I want my rocket jet bike with missiles and has the horn that plays the Dixie song. Like, how do you compete? How?
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in the gaming community said, "Hey, this is exciting. This is good news." I was following all over Twitter when this broke the other day, and everybody was shit talking it. Not a single person
Oh
said,
yeah.
"Yo, this is great." Everyone was like, "Why? What are you doing? Like, you could be using these
Hmm.
resources towards GTA 6 or your next entry." Like, they, they lost their foresight. Like, they don't. I don't feel
Yeah.
like they know what they're doing. But it comes down to this: they know that that's going to make them more money.
Exactly.
They're like, it's
And
like
so
a business decision. It looks great because they know they're going to make billions of dollars from this.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's until we say no and stop playing and stop buying this crap, it's still gonna happen. So let's move on here to the last few things here. Last gaming news we have. We have a few releases slash new games that have been announced. So first of all, Stalker 2. This is something we've been following for a while now. The company has actually relocated to the Czech Republic because they were a Ukrainian company. It's kind of been bad for business to operate in Russia or Ukraine, surprise, surprise, while World War III is happening. So they moved to the Czech Republic. They'll be able to continue development. Hopefully things won't be delayed too much.
Hmm.
Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. We now have an official delay. It is official that it's delayed now until spring 2023. So we'll at least get it Q1, Q2 of 2023. We also saw the official release date for Sniper Elite 5. That comes out on May 26th for PS4, 5, Xbox One, S and X, and PC. The great thing, loop back around why Microsoft has a 60% market share on game services. It's Game Pass day one. Yet another success on Game Pass.
Yeah, and this is another big title that's coming to Game Pass that I actually another game I've never played, and
I want to play Sniper
I've
Elite,
never
but
played
now it's
Sniper Elite,
free.
and yeah,
It's
exactly.
free for Game Pass. Like
It's a
what are
no-brainer.
you doing?
Why do I need a PlayStation if I can just get an Xbox to play basically every game that comes out?
why not get a PC and just never, like now you're just like, I have all the Xbox exclusives. I have all the Xbox games for $15 a month. Like,
It's a no-brainer.
it is. It really is. And so, talking about games here that are coming out this year still, we've got another game that was announced, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. This is going to be a 4v1 competitive sort of slay the enemy or get slayed by the enemy.
Hmm.
You play as a ghost or one of the four ghost busting members. It's a new team, not the original team, because the original team is the one guiding you. But you play as four Ghostbusters versus a ghost, and it's a 1v4 where you either the ghost is going to kill you off with its special powers or you kill the ghost. This is coming out for Xbox One, S, X, PS4, PS5, and PC, like everything else, and it's slated for Q4 of this year. What's your thoughts, Vic?
It's pretty cool to see Ghostbusters just still have this excitement behind it because with the movies and stuff like that have just recently
Oh,
come out.
we
Um,
just have a movie, yeah.
right,
So,
right. So to see a game come to fruition is pretty cool, and like this kind of game makes sense. Like if it was like a story-driven game, you're going around and you're trying to collect all the ghosts. Like I don't know how exciting that would be, but a 4v1 right now hits the mark. Like these games are really popular with like was it Dead by Daylight or like those horror games where like you got the killer trying to hunt down all the other people. Same thing. Or even back in the day,
yeah,
like when Evolve came out, Evolve really
yeah,
set this genre up. Even though that game kind of per se flopped, but like that game was ahead of its time. It was a 1v4, four people trying to kill a monster. But no one
yeah,
wanted to play that
no.
game. They're like, oh, this is trash. Nobody wants to play this kind of game. And now look, it's flooded by it. The market's
Well,
flooded by
that's
these
the
games.
thing. Dead by Daylight did really, really well, and I think that's the one that kind of solidified it in the market. Now, I'm worried that the Ghostbusters game is just riding the hype of a movie that only scored 7 out of 10 on IMDb. So I'm kind of curious to see, but it's trying to put a game into a genre we have so many other competitors in.
Hmm.
It really has a lot to live up to, and I honestly, it's made by Ilphonic, and off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what Ilphonic's made before. I don't know what they've developed. So this is a studio that I don't really know much about. So we'll see where we go with it.
Well,
But there's
they helped create like Friday the 13th, Predator
okay.
Hunting Grounds, Dead Alliance. So like some smaller, similar type games. So
Mhm.
it only made sense. Like they had the knowledge, the background. Like so, this game's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be terrible, per se. Like this has a lot of upside, and as long as it can ride the hype of the name, the brand, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is one of the most well-known
Yeah.
titles. It's pop culture. It's iconic. So hopefully it
Mhm.
succeeds.
Yeah, no, I wish them the best. If it's good, I'd love to play it, but there are so many games on the market now, and like with other games coming out, like for example, we had another announcement today, Quantum Error, or not today, but this past week we had a game called Quantum Error get announced, and this looks really fly. It's a PS4, PS5, Xbox Series S and X game. It's a shooter horror game developed by Team Kill Media LLC. It looks pretty cool. Honestly, it looks like that sort of Dead Space feel, but
Hmm.
darker and grittier.
Hmm.
Like you're not just running around shooting the stuff, but you're also trying to, deal with the environment as well. Fire, putting out a fire while also trying to deal with the fact that a zombie is trying to rip your fucking head off or some alien is out there. And we don't even know what the bad guy is. We only saw like just a glimpse at what the horror is supposed to be.
Right. Like watching the trailer, I was like stuck. Like I didn't know what was going on. Like it looked really dark, really creepy. And then like the dude had like he looks like he's a firefighter, but like he's also like a space person. And it had me like hooked because I was just like I need to know what's going on in this game. So hopefully we learn
Mhm.
more about it and hopefully we can check it out because this is actually one of those like super small indie developed games because this was on like GoFundMe and stuff like that. Like they had GoFundMe, they had the I'm trying to think of the other platform that they put the games on where they're looking for help assistance, and someone picked them up and gave them through helped out threw out more money and it picked up and a lot of people signed on for it. So obviously some people are excited for it. So we'll see how it plans
Yeah.
out.
All right. So moving on from gaming news, we've got the rumors of the week. And so First and foremost, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2. Rumor is that we're going to see it on May 4th during the Star Wars celebration. May the 4th be with you. So we've got a little bit of time here, you know. We've got a whole month and more than a month till we finally see whether or not, what to expect.
Hmm.
Um, Doctor Strange, there's a new movie coming out this year. If you've seen the post for it, seen the trailer, so Doctor Strange, there's a game actually being developed by Remedy. That's big
I'm excited.
for the Xbox S and PS5 only. This is a next gen Remedy game based on Doctor Strange. Like that's spicy.
Right.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect combination. Like, just look at the game Control that they've made. Like the whole supernatural, like being able to control stuff and bending
Yeah.
time and Quantum Break, even with the bending time. Like Doctor Strange is basically those
Well,
games.
and that's the thing. It's based on the new movie, which is all about Doctor Strange and the multiverse, and so it's going to be about bending the multiverse, maybe. So that's exciting to me. Um,
I hope it.
Moving on here.
Before
Oh,
we move
go
on,
ahead.
I hope that this game is similar in style to how it plays out like Guardians did, where it was like
Mhm.
kind of like a linear path game where it's not open world. I don't need a massive open world Doctor Strange game like I or
Yeah,
Spider
no, I don't either.
or Spider Man. Like Spider Man, like it makes sense. You're slinging around the city, you're saving people. It makes sense in Spider Man. But like Doctor Strange seems like it has to be like a very streamlined story centric game where maybe you can make some decisions and it would branch out depending on like your decision that was
But for
made.
the most part, the story stays the same.
Right.
Maybe the outcome, how you get to the end is different, but you still want to be able to go and follow a cinematic story.
Right.
It lends itself better, in my opinion.
And then moving on here, we got apparently there's a Ubisoft event supposed to happen this week or at least soon, and they're supposed to be showcasing about 20 games that they have coming out. Which is I'm just like, man, Ubisoft has a lot of games coming out, and we know a lot of these games get the whole
Oh,
Ubisoft
Ubisoft
treatment.
has like,
It's
more than five studios, so
yeah,
they have the bandwidth.
yeah, so it makes sense, but hopefully some of these games that they said is going to be at this show is Skull and Bones, which hopefully we get a finally an update like what's going on with that game. That game was announced a while ago. It was basically like they really liked what happened in Assassin's Creed Black Flag with the whole pirate theme, and they were like, no, we want to make a game. So it was kind of supposed to be like more of a realistic version of Sea of Thieves. Hopefully that succeeds.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is supposed to be showcased. Hopefully, we get to see some gameplay actually of that because I love the Avatar franchise, like the world that they're trying to build, and I'm really looking forward to the movies that are coming out. So hopefully, this game comes out and looks good. The Division Heartland's supposed to be there. Not exactly sure what kind of game this is going to be, whether it's a new story-driven game or if this is the battle royale mode that they are trying to create. Immortals Phoenix Rising sequel is supposed to be teased or at least showcased there, which I'm excited for because I really genuinely enjoyed the first one and that I've recently
Mhm.
beat. And then Assassin's Creed is supposed to be there in two different forms, both for Rift and Infinity. Rift is supposed to be like a smaller scale Assassin's Creed game to kind of just fill in the gap until Infinity comes out. We all know that Infinity is a new like platform like service that they're doing for Assassin's Creed where they're
The
going to
new
add
Halo Infinite.
yeah, Ghost Recon Frontline is supposed to be showcased. This is supposed to be their battle royale with Ghost Recon stuff. So like that'll be pretty cool. But do we need it? Probably not. We'll see how that goes. X Defiant's supposed to be showcased here. I played the beta. Don't think I can really talk too much about it, but hopefully it's better than the beta. Let's just put it at that. Uh,
Yeah.
Prince of Persia: Sand of Times remake hopefully gets showcased and maybe a release date as well because it we already know it's coming out, but they never said when. And this is a
Well, and I
masterpiece.
think, yeah, with this being a remake, we're getting that same treatment because Prince of Persia is supposed to be also getting a new game. So maybe we're going to get that release date for the new game and the remake at the same time so
That'd be
that
dope.
we want to get you into the game, get you back into this game that was a cult classic, back on the Xbox 360, I think it was
Hmm.
early on, you know, and then we're going to get the new one.
Right. I'm super excited. I would love to dive back into that because again, that was a game that I missed, but I know about it. Like I just because being
Mhm.
involved in the gaming industry. And then
No, exactly.
another one that they're supposed to showcase is the Crew 3. That'd be pretty cool to see. Like the Crew is just a solid racing game. Obviously, it's not going to be on par with like Forza at all, but this one has a different take because it's more like street oriented. So it's like Fast and the Furious. But like when the first Crew came out, like you could traverse the entire United States, and I think you can kind of do it in the second one. So like it had a little bit bigger of a map. Mario's and Rabbids Sparks of Hope is supposed to be there, which is pretty cool because the first game did phenomenally well with that crossover. And then Roller Champions supposed to be there. It's like a roller skating like football kind of game. I don't know. It's going to be like one of their smaller indie developed games that they'll be showcased. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is supposed to be there, which I'm really excited for because this game has been in development for like ever, and every time they do show it, it looks really good. But I'm just hoping it comes out and it is actually a good game. Did you play the first one at all?
Nope.
And Splinter
Nope.
Cell,
There's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Splinter Cell remake is supposed to make an appearance finally because we know it's in the works, but hopefully we get to see some gameplay and actually see which one of them is being remade. That's going to be the big part of which Splinter Cell game is being remade because maybe we'll see a teaser for a brand new Splinter Cell that I've been asking for forever.
Well, we already know that they're making a new Splinter Cell. But the remake I think is just like the Prince of Persia. It's probably going to be what ties us over into the next game.
And last one on the list here is the Division Mobile. So there's a mobile game along the Division line. So we'll see how that turns out to be. And there's I guess apparently much more, but these are the ones that they highlighted that are supposed to be showcased. So it seems like it's going to be like a jam-packed, like big conference from Ubisoft. So hopefully this is a really good one, and then we'll be able to follow it, especially if it's this week. We'll be able to check it out next Sunday. And moving on here, two more new, rumors before we close out this week's episode. PlayStation, it's rumored, we kind of mentioned this a little bit ago, it's rumored to reveal the Game Pass competitor, Project Spartacus. It's supposed to come out this week. Oh,
Supposed to.
yeah,
If the PlayStation Network outage is anything to be worried about,
right,
maybe we might not see it. It'll
right.
be out.
Yeah, exactly. I see what you did. And Xbox.
Uh,
Apparently, Resident Evil Village is coming to Game Pass soon because it was leaked on like some website, and it said it like at the bottom that it's supposed to be coming to Game Pass. So that's big. That's another big,
Huge.
great title that is going to come to Game Pass, and I don't have it, and this gives me a way to play it.
I've wanted to play it, and now I have it for $15 a month. Like it makes me sick to just say how good Game Pass is all the time.
Hmm.
Because like I'm a pessimist, but like there's nothing like it. It's like what Netflix did to the industry for movies. Blockbuster got murdered by Netflix, and Game Pass is murdering everyone else.
Yeah, it's
There's no
crazy.
competition.
Because like, look at it. I think I've bought two games out of the last 10 to 15 games I played, and they were Dying Light
Mhm.
2 and Tiny Tina's because they're not on Game Pass. So it's just like we buy those, but all these other games I'm playing, they're on Game Pass. They're free to play. Like I have all these paths and avenues to play games without spending money.
Yeah, honestly, it's like if your game isn't gonna be overly successful, then go to Game Pass. If you think your game is really, really gonna be successful, you got to make it count because people are less willing to spend that $60 price tag nowadays. Like
Hmm.
the only reason I bought Tiny Tina's is it looked really good, and Dying Light 2, we took a gamble on it. Honestly, I was gonna skip it if it wasn't the co-op or our co-op game. I was gonna sleep on it.
Right, for sure. But you got any last comments or remarks before we close out this week's episode?
So, you guys, I'm excited to hear about Project Spartacus this week, and you're going to hear from us next Sunday if you don't hear anything about it this week. And it does get released. Come check us out next week. We'll talk about it.
Same thing with the Ubisoft event, man. If that happens this week, that's going to be a huge event that we're going to have to recap, and that's going to take up a large chunk. Between that and if Spartacus gets announced, we got two huge
Yep.
topics for next Sunday. So be sure to stay tuned for next Sunday at 7. But we want to thank everyone who did check us out live this week and anybody who checks us out on YouTube later on. But Roger, where can we find you at?
Hey guys, I'm at twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion. Come check me out on Monday. We're gonna play Valorant, and Thursday we're gonna try and finish Dying Light 2.
Hopefully.
Try is the operative word.
Yeah, keyword try. But of course, everyone, check me out at MrNeverChillin _ on Twitter. Xbox is XNeverSpaceChillin. You want a party game? Hit me up on there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Questions, concerns. You want to come on the show or even join our Discord? Hit me up on there. But we definitely want to give you an update. These episodes are live every Sunday at 7 p.m. and our co-op streams for our games, which is currently Tiny Tina's, is every Sunday at 12 o'clock. So be sure to come check us out for those. But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.